We need to stop calling Ian Garry a marketing genius. We also need to stop calling him an idiot. If you was to listen to all the different channels and all the different media talking about him, you would be under the impression that he's some kind of genius playing 4D chess and that this whole heel turn was a calculated Colby type move. But I think the truth is a little bit more sad and unsettling than that. Ian Garry is a thin-skinned kid who got completely swallowed by his obsession to become famous. So let's talk about it. Let's start with where this all started, with the whole WAG book and the age gap and the ex-husband running his nutrition and all that. That's kind of where this all started and the wheels started coming off for Ian Garry, right? Sorry, Ian Machado. So let's dive into that a little bit. So his wife Layla wrote that book a long time ago, and it was sort of a satirical piece, but it's like a nudge nudge wink wink. Like, it's satirical, but is it satirical? I mean, let's be real about a couple things, guys. Men chase youth and looks. Now, not universally. This isn't a blanket statement, but kind of, in general, men care more about like youth and looks, and women care about success, motivation, drive, trajectory. So while the WAG book is, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, satirical, it's not, because that's how women are, and that's not a bad thing. That's fine. That's how they're wired. Men didn't, we got to go back to caveman days with this, right? Men weren't worried about needing a woman to protect them. So for a man, it was about reproduction, looks, youth, virility, all that sort of thing. For women, it was, about what can they provide? Can they protect me? Where are they going? Are they socially high in the tribe? Those sort of things. And so it's completely fine. It's natural. There's nothing wrong with a woman wanting. That's where like a lot of men get it twisted. They get this idea about gold diggers, and there are gold diggers that literally only care about the money, and that's a bummer. But almost all women get lumped into that when they start pursuing successful guys, and it doesn't even have to be like ultra successful. But if you're a guy who's great looking and funny and stuck in a dead end job, and you get passed over by for a guy who is, not as good looking, not as funny, but is, really going somewhere in life, that's, again, that's a calculation that each woman has to make, what's important to them. And I'm just laying some of the groundwork that typically women like motivation, trajectory, ambition, things like that. They're attractive. And, obviously you need to be funny, and there, should be attraction, but you get what I'm saying? So I want to get out ahead and say that I don't think there's anything wrong with Layla or any other woman pursuing athletes or, people that look like they're going somewhere in life. I mean, more power to you. Nobody wants to date a loser, right? I mean, come on. So where this gets a little strange is the fact that, like I said, men typically go after looks and youth. Now, Layla's a very attractive woman, so she has that, but she's very old. And I know she's not old. I mean, come on, if I was calling her old, I'd be calling myself old. But comparatively to Ian Machado, sorry, she's old. I think he was 23 when they got together, and she was 38, I believe. Now, I was 23 once. It's a long time ago, but I was there once. And I remember at 23, someone 38 seemed ancient at the time. I mean, that was like an old person at the time. So the fact that he got with her, even though she's pretty, but she's old, tells you a couple things about him that I think are pretty obvious as well, if you really look at him. Ian is a deeply insecure kid with some mommy issues. Now, I don't know what exactly. I'm not a psychologist, so I'm not going to try to get into a whole diatribe about what those mommy issues are. But I think it's pretty clear that he has them. And I also think it's pretty clear that he's like a deeply insecure kid. And I mean, I'm gonna try to give you a couple examples, like real life sort of examples, because we all know a person like this, and that'll kind of give you an idea what I'm talking about with him. Just the vibe he gives off. And Ian Garry is the type to go through a drive-through at Taco Bell, ask for plenty of sauce because he wants that fire sauce on his crappy burrito, and he gets through. He checks the bag when they hand him his bag. There's no sauce. Ian Gary's the type to just look down and drive away rather than, hey, you forgot my sauce. Can I get my sauce? Ian Gary's the type that if you cut in front of him in line, he's not gonna, hey buddy, what are you doing? He's gonna look down and not say anything. Ian Garry is the type to sit in his basement in the dark, refreshing every 50 seconds to see what people are saying about him. He's a very insecure, thin-skinned kid, okay? And he's not an assertive and that's why people don't like this when he gets on stage and talks trash and acts like he's all confident, because we can see through him. Most people, whether they even realize it or not, they just kind of have a sixth sense about a person, like about, I don't know, just kind of their real identity. Like, it's hard to fake your real identity. If you're a very non-assertive and insecure person, it's really hard to get up and fake that you're not. And I think that is one of the things. Well, I mean, Darren Till just called it. He talked about how ridiculously fake Gary seems. It's because he's trying to pretend he's something he's not. He is a thin-skinned, insecure kid with mommy issues. So that brings us to why he's with Layla. Layla is definitely a more assertive type. She makes him feel safe and protected. She coddles him. She takes care of everything. She got her ex-husband to do the nutrition. She is the type, I guarantee you, when they're going through that Taco Bell, well, you know what, they're vegan, so they wouldn't be going through Taco Bell, but still, I'm going to use the analogy because you know it works. But she's the type, as they're going through the Taco Bell driveway and Ian doesn't get his sauce and he starts to drive around, she makes him pull into a parking spot. She marches her ass into that Taco Bell. She's like, give my baby his sauce. You didn't give my baby his sauce. And she brings her baby his sauce. So Ian is like very attached to Layla because Layla is like, she's like his mommy and she takes care of him. She is the assertive one. She tells him, what to say in interviews. She tells him, oh, you should do this. You should do this thing to spark the fans' anger because then they're gonna watch. You should talk about this in this interview. You should go do this commercial. Like, she's laying the roadmap, and handling his nutrition, and she's with him everywhere. She's taking care of things. So that's kind of the dynamic of their relationship, is she makes Ian feel safe and cared for, and he's a very insecure child. And, she likes the ambition and the drive, and also, a lot of women are nurturing by nature, and she probably enjoys the fact that this, big professional fighter guy is, like a little baby in her arms. That probably makes her feel good. So that's kind of the dynamic we're working with here. Now, also, I want to address her husband, before I move on real quick, I want to address her husband taking care of her nutrition. A lot of people said that her husband lives with them. I tried to look into that as much as I could. Near as I could tell, he doesn't and never has. He just handles Ian's nutrition. Now, maybe he does, but... and they're all just hiding it. It's possible. It's not like I agonized too much time over whether this fucking guy lives with them or not. I mean, be a little weird if he did, but whatever. But here's the thing, guys. I have a kid and am divorced. I've been divorced for a very long time. Have went through the various stages of how you feel about your ex after a bad divorce and having a kid. And I can say that it's not weird, really, her ex being involved with his nutrition, because that's what he does. He's a professional in that field, and they obviously all have a good relationship, and there's nothing wrong with that. I've been very buddy-buddy with some of my ex's boyfriends. Like, when you share a kid with somebody, that's a healthy thing to do. It doesn't serve anybody for you to hold on to resentment or bitterness or be at each other's throats all the time or not get along with each other's, new significant others. It makes it harder on you, but more importantly, it also makes it harder on your kid. So if everybody can have that good relationship, that is by far the best outcome. So the fact that people are tearing them down for that is a little wild to me. Like, most of you guys have kids. Most of you guys have ex-wives. I mean, statistically, it's pretty rampant. I mean, it's sad, but it is what it is. So, I mean, come on. Most of you guys should realize that that's a healthy way to do things. There's nothing wrong with them being friendly, and there's nothing wrong with him running his nutrition. I mean, it's not a big deal. Back to the him taking her last name and not being a Garry anymore. Again, that is, Ian is a very unassertive, insecure kid, and this is his whole world. This is the person that's taking care of him. He's like almost trauma bonded to her in a way. So to him, turning his back on his family, his lineage, all that, I mean, he can say it's about the kid. I don't really buy that. I don't think it really has anything to do with the kid. And, we just want our kids to have the same last name. And I don't think so, personally. I mean, maybe it might be a small part of it. I think it's mostly Layla wanted that, and he does what Layla wants, and he's fine with not being a Garry anymore to make himself a Machado because he wants to be taken care of and all consumed. I mean, his walkout music is the Take Me to Church song, for Christ's sake. I mean, he is consumed in this woman. He is of this woman. Like I said, he's trauma bonded to her. So he's not Garry anymore. He's Machado. He's Ian Machado. But again, I've explained the mechanics behind why that is. Now, let's get into the kind of their insecurity and their echo chamber. So Ian's original sin, if you guys remember, what originally didn't land about his whole persona is he was trying to be Conor McGregor, right? He was determined to be, the next Conor McGregor. He was trying to act like him, trying to talk like him, trying to be confident like him. And again, like I said, it came off fake because Ian's not confident. And people can see through it. And also, he doesn't have the same just self-effacing wit and humor that Conor had. It fell flat. Pretty much everybody who's tried to copy Conor has fallen flat because Conor is Conor. Conor was always just playing an elevated character of himself. And like I said, it's hard to fake something. And so that fell flat, and that hurt Ian because he thought he was going to be the next Conor. I'm winning fights, and I'm wearing the suits, and I'm acting confident. And so to him, it's like, this is hurting him. This is hurting him deep down. The people aren't responding to this, and people are calling him a dork. And so what does he do? He, rather than try to find a version of himself, he doubles down. And part of that is because he gets with Layla. And the problem is, like I said, Layla is more assertive, but she's also a very thin-skinned person. They're both extremely sensitive. She has an excuse. She's a woman. It's, much more commonly their thing to be a bit more thin-skinned. Ian is just, like I said, he's very thin-skinned too. And especially for a fighter. And, a lot of fighters are pretty thin-skinned, but Ian is exceptionally so. So what do you get when you have two people that get together that are incredibly thin-skinned, take offense at everything, and the plan isn't going, like nothing's going to plan. He was supposed to be the next Conor, and then when that didn't work, they pivoted to, well, now he's a high class. We're high class, right? That was their pivot. We're high class, confident, blah blah blah, and that didn't work either because all this stuff came out. People started calling him a cuck, and then what happens? They circle the wagons. They isolate themselves, they cut people off, they cut his family off, and they just stay sealed in this echo chamber, seething about why people don't love me, why I'm not ultra famous, I'm winning fights, what's wrong? And that's where they kind of pivoted into this this heel thing. Now the heel thing, it was kind of their only play, if we're honest. I mean, kind of. There's probably other plays, but they realized that people aren't going to like Ian. It's too late. That's done. So they try to lean into this heel thing, and he starts, he starts picking imaginary fights with Neil Magny over, passing comments about punishing his children, or he does a PETA ad, and is always on and on about his vegetarianism, and he does an interview saying women should rule the world and blah, blah. He knows this isn't going to hit well with an MMA audience. He's not retarded. Like, he knows MMA is the wrong crowd for these views generally. So this is on purpose. They're pivoting and trying to hit a heel roll because they've realized, Layla realized, okay, honey, nobody's going to like you, baby. So we have to make people really not like you, because then they'll still at least watch. They'll tune in. Now, the problem is when people like Colby or Chael or whatever, these guys that play these heel rolls, when somebody strikes an actual nerve with them, they wink and double down, right? It doesn't break character, and they lean into it. They expect it. That's the role they're playing. The problem with Ian is he's too thin-skinned for this game. And so when someone actually strikes an actual nerve with him, rather than a wink and a, leaning into it or, playing into it, he gets actually defensive, angry, and starts filing lawsuits against other fighters for jokes at press conferences. He starts blocking people on social media and turning off comments, which just feeds into all of this even more. Now, some people think that that's all part of it. Oh, no, he's doing that as well because, that's all part of the game. I'm sorry, guys, it's not. He's not a marketing genius that's just that good at acting like a pussy and getting people to not like him. He's legitimately insecure and thin-skinned and just can't take it. So he's trapped into this role that he doesn't have the emotional stability to play, but he doesn't know any other role. And the problem is right now he's fooling himself into thinking that if he just beats Islam Makhachev, people are going to love him. And that's not true at all. If he beats Islam Makhachev, nobody's going to change their opinion about him at all. They're still going to think he's a dork. They're still going to think he's a cuck. They're still going to think he's a loser. They're still going to think he's boring. There's, all the above. Obviously he has some fans, but you get what I'm saying, the general fan base. And I don't know how he's going to handle that, because I think he's really fooling himself into thinking that if he just keeps pushing and eventually wins a title, suddenly it's all going to connect and people are going to love him, because that's what he desperately wants. That's been his whole thing from the start. He desperately just wants to be famous and another Conor McGregor. And I don't know if he wins a title, how well he's going to cope with the fact that that's still just not going to happen. He's not likable. And, maybe a real version of him would be. I don't know. We haven't ever really seen a real version of him, I don't think. But I don't think we ever will either. So everything he tries to put out there is unlikable. And is going to be a little bit soul-crushing when he realizes that a title isn't going to change that. Now, let's talk about his family. His family, those texts, his brother was calling him out, saying, I'm going to expose the whole truth. You turned your back on the family. You missed granddad's funeral and all that. And, people are asking if that's staged. And no, it's real. That's real family heartbreak and drama. I'm confident it's real because Ian didn't immediately lean into it at the start. He was literally like deleting the comments. He kept deleting the comments his brother was making and trying to hide it. Because again, like I said, when Ian gets an actual nerve struck, he starts deleting comments, blocking people, hiring lawyers, that sort of thing. So, but the thing is, because he's so trapped in this everyone is an NPC in my story kind of mindset, he's trying now to convert the dysfunction into promo currency. Again, trying to play the heel. But yeah, like I said, the difference between a heel like him and a heel like Colby is that when someone pokes fun at Ian, the bad guy mask shatters and he goes back to that insecure, emotional, angry kid that starts hiring lawyers and that. So, I mean, that's the take on Ian, guys. He's not fooling you, really. He's, kind of, he's fooling everybody and fooling himself. He's a confused, thin-skinned, emotional kid that has trauma bonded to an older woman, and that's fine, and is trying to play a role that he's not cut out for, and it's kind of eating him alive. But that's what I got on Ian Garry, guys. That's my take. Hey, we're going to get into a little bit of MMA news, but before we do that, I want to thank you guys for watching. I'm starting to put these more kind of in the middle of the videos, kind of the call to action. But, guys, it really helps me if you hit subscribe, if you like the video, leave comments, the engagement works. If you like my takes and my opinions and you agree with them, let's talk about them, or, like the video, share it, subscribe. If you don't like my takes and you think I'm an idiot, cool, hate watch me, that's fine. We can do that. Just don't leave hateful comments. That's mean. That's rude. It'll make me cry. No, seriously, I want to build a positive community. I say that in every video. This is, I want to spread awareness about anxiety and mental health, depression, things like that. And so the community is very important to me, guys. So any of you that want to join it, hit sub, talk in the comments. I always talk back. And we'll just keep building this community brick by brick, day by day, because we're helping each other up and we're encouraging each other in this community, and it's a great thing. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Yeah, just keep supporting the channel. It really helps. I appreciate you. But anyways, let's shift gears to something I want to talk about, something that happened earlier in the week. The UFC fighter Allan Nascimento tragically passed away. Luckily, it sounds like he went peacefully in his sleep. That's a good way to go, but I guess heart problems. And so I just want to say my heartfelt condolences to his family and his friends. I actually had a conversation with a good friend of his, another Brazilian fighter, and she was pretty upset about it. So these are real people. We watch the fighters, and sometimes it can be easy to get detached, but man, these are real people with lives and families, and he leaves a lot of loved ones behind. And so yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Nascimento, and hopefully he's in a better place. But anyways, moving on. What do we got? So some fun. We've got some fun fight announcements. We got Yoel Romero against Darren Till in BKFC. That'll be I'm looking forward to that one, guys. Let me know in the comments who you think wins that one. Does old man Yoel still got it? I mean, hey, props to Darren Till for finally taking the fight. He waited until he was 49 years old, but Yoel's still terrifying. I mean, I probably would have waited until he's like 59, 63, something like that before I'd take that fight. That's the crazy thing. Yoel's still going to look better than all of us when he's 75. It's ridiculous. The guy's an alien. But yeah, so I think that's taking place in Manchester in September. That fight is going to be amazing. I can't wait for it. Some of these bare knuckle fights, man, some of these are fun. I like the bare knuckle promotion. It's a fun one. We have what's his face? The White House cat. He fought at the White House. Hoofy We have Hoofy fighting Arman Tsarukyan apparently coming up. So I guess everybody's thoughts that it was Justin against Tsarukyan is off, or maybe Justin's just taking time off. I think actually that might just be it, because didn't Justin say that he's like taking the rest of the year off? So yeah, I guess that might be like the title eliminator. I'm kind of surprised Hoofy is in the spot for title eliminator if that's what it is, but I mean, I don't know. I guess he's been blowing up pretty quick. So that'll be a fun one. Be looking forward to breaking that one down when we come closer to it. We got, what were some other fun fight announcements? There were some other fun ones. Oh, I think at the end of this month we've got Fluffy Hernandez taking on Hobocop. Gregory Rodriguez. That's going to be a banger. That should be all action as long as it lasts. You know, Gregory Rodriguez is very elite in the jiu-jitsu world, so I don't know if Fluffy can just take him down and control him like he normally does. But, you know, Fluffy might still be able to just put an absolute pace on him. So that one's going to be a banger. Really looking forward to that one. I think on that same card, we have Renier de Ridder against Roman Dolidze. Should be a fun one. I was kind of hoping that de Ridder was going to get an actual light heavyweight moving up instead of just another middleweight that moved up. But hey, you know, it is what it is. I like Renier de Ridder. He's fun. You know, he imploded in that fight against Brendan Allen, but I think a lot of that was the weight cut in the schedule. Renier's huge, man. And you know, I don't know. I have a different opinion about quitting on the stool or throwing in the towel and things like that than a lot of people do. I don't believe the fighter owes it to us to kill himself to put on a show. If he's got nothing left, he knows he's got nothing left, and there's no shame in saying I got nothing left and throwing in the towel. To me, it doesn't make you a pussy. It doesn't make you a quitter. It makes you smart. I mean, this sport is already brutal enough and hard enough on us, and we're seeing the evidence more and more about the consequences these fighters pay when they get out of it. So if it's not your night and you can feel that and you know that and you just have nothing left and you're tired and the body's just not responding right, just get out of there. There's no need to take a beating. You all would have preferred if he went out there and just let Brandon Allen ground and pound him. And that's what most guys do when they give up. They won't quit on stool, but they'll still quit, guys. That's what gets missed. Like, everybody criticizes the people that throw in the towel or quit on the stool or, you know, whatever. But they completely miss that half the time fighters quit anyways in the cage. They just find a different way to do it, whether that's, oh, I can't get up now. Oh no, let me cover while you rain down blows. Oh, the referee's screaming move. I'm not going to move. That's them, you know, get me out of here, ref. I'm done. Or, you know, they'll be lazy and, you know, shoot a lazy takedown, let their neck get wrapped up, or, you know, something like that. Like, there's so many ways to get out of a fight in the middle of the fight and make it look like, oh, I just got finished or something. But it's really quitting, because you know when you don't have anything left and the fight's not going your way and your body's not responding and you're hurt and you just want to get out of there. You know, and so you find a way out. You know, it's that simple. So, sorry, my phone's going off even though I silenced it. Apparently I didn't actually silence it. But anyways, so yeah, Renier's fine to me. I like him. I think he's still an exciting fighter. So that'll be a good fight. Other than that, we have the merger. We have the merger with MVP and PFL. That's interesting. You know, the UFC's perspective on it was kind of to be expected. You had, you know, you have them basically commenting that, oh, you have two failing promotions that are now going to join together to fail, or, you know, something along those lines. I don't know. I think they have a decent enough roster, kind of. And, you know, Jake has connections with Netflix and, you know, has been pretty good at throwing on, you know, circus fights that people tune in to watch. So, I don't know. They might be able to make something work. I wouldn't write them off. I hope they do. You know, competition is good. So, I hope they figure something out. Yeah, it'd be good. And I think their biggest thing, and this is something Jake might be able to help them with, is they've just desperately needed somebody who's like social media savvy and knows how to get people to care about fighters. Think about the UFC. When did the UFC get traction? when the Ultimate Fighter blew up and people started seeing like inside fighters' personalities and caring about the fighters. That's something a lot of these other promotions have been missing. They have piss poor media management teams that absolutely have no idea how to try to get a fighter's personality to shine through and get him out there. Think about a person like Nina Drama, love her or hate her, she gets a different side of the fighters showing. She, does her gag stuff or whatever, and she puts a different light on the fighters. 'Cause some of these guys are like pretty funny. They have pretty funny personalities, or they have more to offer than what they show. They're just not good at like social media or the environment or putting themselves out there in that regard. And so you get a person like Nina, or someone else that's good at it, that can come do skits and bits and things like that with them. Then they can kind of let some of their personality shine through a little bit, and then people can decide from there if they like them or not. But it's exposure, and that's what a lot of these other promotions have been missing. They need someone who is good at getting them out there and putting content out there and getting people to care more about the fighters. I mean, think about Dakota Jacheva. People like her because she's pretty and she's good, and that'll get you so far. But I mean, imagine how much it would help if they had someone that was like really good at social media, that was really out there working with her and doing a bunch of bits and having her personality front, face, and center and just out there all the time. Imagine how much more people would know about her. And some of the other fighters on the roster that people don't know, if they was actively out there and getting people caring. So that's something that Jake Paul is aware of and good at. Him and his brother, love him or hate him, they're good at the social media game. They're good at getting people to watch. So I think they can bring something to the table for the PFL with the merger. And like I said, hopefully they do. But anyways, guys, this video's ran a little long. I was hoping it was going to be like a 20-minute video, but you know me. I'm a ranter and a raver and a rambler. So hopefully you enjoy it. But guys, positive message. Depression is real. Anxiety is real. We all get stuck in our heads sometimes and don't want to get out and don't want to do, this, that, or the other. And we just have to take a positive step forward. And whether that's, there's so many different things you can do that will make you feel a little bit better every day. Whether that's going to the gym, and you don't have to start out, you don't have to be a meathead and go lift heavy and go crazy. But, even going to the gym and going on a walk on the treadmill or the stair climber, or lifting some lighter weights, it helps. And because it does a few things. On top of the fact it's getting your body out and it's getting in motion and it's doing something that is good for you, and your wiring is telling you this is good. It's also kind of a social thing. Now, whether you talk to anybody at the gym or not, you're still around other people, and that does something good for you. And it's an environment that's kind of like, we're in this together because everybody's there for fitness. If you're out of shape and you're worried that people are going to judge you in the gym, they absolutely aren't. Anybody who is in shape at the gym, who sees somebody who's not in shape at the gym, is really happy for them. It's never, oh, look at that fat fuck. No, it's we're all trying to lift each other up. And so it can be a good thing going to the gym because now you're around, like I said, even if you don't talk to them, you're around people with the same shared goals and you're all there trying to improve yourself. And so it can help, eating good, clean foods, that aren't processed, not eating fast food, not eating, candies and tons of sugar and junk food and drinking soda and all that, water, water, sunlight, meats, veggies, fruits, things like that, just natural things, good for you. And it makes you feel better. The world's a crazy place and everybody's struggling. There's so much violence and hate going on in the world. And so, if I'm going to be in this space, it's my duty to try to at least play a small role in spreading some positivity and trying to help any who might see my content and it might help them improve their day. Because, man, we have to keep fighting the good fight. We have to keep trying. We have to keep improving. We have to take that step forward every day. I'm rooting for you. Your family's rooting for you. Your friends are rooting for you. If you don't have family and friends, at the very least, I'm rooting for you. So, talk to me in the comments. I'll talk back. Talk to your family. Talk to friends. Go make new friends. And yeah, just take that step forward every day. We're all in this together, guys. It's not me, it's we. So let's build this community and let's help each other. So that's it, guys. Peace.